I was hungry, worked my butt off that day because no, that'll never be me. That'll never be my life. I cannot do that. Yeah, when I'll do it. Sure. A lot of imposter syndrome. Why am I crying? This video just took a turn that I did not expect. I did not expect to cry. I've never cried telling the story. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Wanga, and if you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. Do consider joining the family by subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing, and doing the most down below. Today's video is very important because it's been something that I've said that I'm gonna do for the longest time, and I am finally doing it. So I'm super excited that we are finally here. As you may or may not know, I am a full-time videographer and photographer. And what better way to start this segment on my channel where I get to speak about my experiences as a photographer and videographer. I also do experiments because I do believe that I am a student of life for life, so I'll never stop learning. And also just to teach and give advice from what I've learned in the game and what I'm still also learning. This space for me is going to be a space where I just basically do all those things and doing what I love the most. So it's something that I've been meaning to do for the longest time, and I'm so happy that I'm finally doing it because I've always said, oh my god, I need to on my channel speak about my experiences, because I think a lot of people could really just gain something from just like hearing from me and my experiences and everything that has happened in my career so far. And I thought, what better way to start such a segment than to tell the story of how I got into this space. So one, I was never someone who thought that I was going to become a photographer. I was always just those friends who literally you would snatch the phone from if they were taking pictures of you because you're hoping you 40 shit, right? And I think there was a time when it crossed my mind and I was like, photographer. I will never become that. So because of that, I got super comfortable with just, being that I didn't care really, I was just like, okay, I'll never be a photographer because, I take the worst pictures of everyone. And in 2021, I remember my friends and I used to just go on these dates and we used to hang, and at the time I had just recently bought my iPhone 12 mini. Before that, I had an iPhone 7 Plus, which broke or just started to not work. So I was like, okay, time for an upgrade. I went to MTN and I got this tiny phone because that's what I could afford. Sharp. I didn't get to Atini's house, and at the time I think it was just like such a big thing, 4K and 4K 60, and just how the phone shoots. And my friend was like, you have gold on your hands and you don't realize it, just don't return the phone because you'll see, basically. So I was like, okay, girl. I think I was really just more upset about the fact that it was a very small phone. It was like really, really tiny. Just look at my iPhone 7 Plus and now I've got a little, phone thing here, and I'm just like, hey, I don't know. Hey, this phone is just, it's hard to get used to. But yeah. So back to the point that I was making. So my friends and I used to, go on these dates, and this is when they were still living in August. And so we used to go to Coco Chachi Kakul. And I remember this one day specifically, we were walking to Coco Chachi. So I whip out my phone and then I take a video of Munande and Atini Aya walking, shared it on my story, and Munande loves it. Right? The girls love it, they repost it, of course, and I don't think much about it, So I'm like, oh, okay, this phone is actually really cool, it's cute. And I continue using it. Sharp. I think Saya to Asive's birthday. Oh, the girls and I were planning Asive's birthday, and on that day we then did the birthday at the Sky Hotel. So as the girls were walking into the hotel, I then, just to greet each other, I was like, oh, this looks so cool, it's so cute. I took out the phone, I started recording them. It looked beautiful, it was so cool. This was 5 years ago. What looks beautiful and cool now is not looked cool and beautiful back then. So took it out, recorded the girls, and Asive loved it. But before that, I think also, yes, Atini asked me to, because he was then trying to turn his Instagram into like a nice influencer market friendly page. And so he was just like, man, I want to do more like influencer related stuff, so please just help me shoot, girl. And I was like, sharp, my friend, I'll help you. Called like, I think at that time I was working at a call center. Yes. So Nyanike, I helped Miss Tini in the first project that I think we worked on together in this capacity was his cotton on gym wear shoot or video, which is, I think, to this day one of my favorite videos I've ever done, and probably people on the internet's one of their favorite stuff that I've done, because it literally looked like an ad. Like if you watch that thing even today, you'll be like, whoa, is this a phone? It was beautiful. So I was now impressed with this phone, this very tiny phone, and we started using it, so we started shooting with this phone. And that's when I also think Unandi was trying to also build her Instagram as well, and she was just trying to establish herself in the influencer space as well. And so I think after Asive's birthday, he says to me, I think it's time for you to start this photography page. I'm like, Asive, stop in my head now. I didn't say that to him. I'm like, oh God, Asive, really, girl? Bear in mind, I was the friend who literally, when the thought crossed my mind, I think, I'm not going to mention which photographer because they don't deserve those flowers like that, because no. But there was one specific photographer, I think I was in high school, that I saw doing photography, and his work was so beautiful. And I was still living in P at the time. Like, Sanala, everyone thinks your work, your pictures suck. You're the friend that everyone just is like, because you are not about to ruin my day with Wanga's horrible photo taking skills. So I saw his Instagram and I was like, baby, you will never in your life become this. And I laughed because I was like, a photographer? That's one of the things that I know for a fact I'll never be in this world. So literally I had that thought, and I always reference that thought because and when I look back, I'm like, I really, 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 it was embedded in my mind that like, I will never become a photographer, because I was always the person that everyone was just not happy with the photos about, that is touching your phone. I was always that friend, who just didn't care, And so I was like, oh, photographer, out of the window, chop. Asive's like, girl, start this page. I'm like, okay, girl, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it, And so, Nyanike, I opened the page. But in opening this page, I'm opening it because, one, people saw that video, Jimwe. And they also saw Nandi's video that I took. And then it was Asive's birthday video. And then, just the videos that I was just taking in general. They were like, yo, you're sitting on money right now. So I'm like, hey, bitch, one. So I'm like, okay, I'll open this page. But I opened this page with the mentality, the idea that, when we like open like these photography pages where we take pictures of buildings, edit them on Visco, and then post them there, thinking we're cool. It wasn't kind of that situation. So I did that, and I was like, one day when I'm old, I will look back and be like, look at your pathetic attempt at trying to become a photographer. I really thought that page of Visuals by Wanga was going to age like milk, and I really thought I'd go back one day and look at the Visuals by Wonga page and really genuinely laugh at my attempt at trying to become a photographer or a videographer, because I did not believe in the slightest that I had it in me. Like, it was just like not one of those things where I was like, I know I can do this. And the other thing that fueled that thought was that I was always the kind of person who was just like 9 to 5, you're going to go to school, you're going to get a 9 to 5 job, and that's going to be your life. You're going to get rich from a 9 to 5. That was my mentality. That was my very naive, young, I don't know anything mentality but this, and this is how my life is going to go. Right. So I open this page. Sharp. Okay. Thinking, hey, this is not a serious thing. Ndifakelwe ipressure ngabantu omani open le page. Abanye abantu bayabuza kwi DM zamba like, how much do you charge? And I'm like, sana, be serious. Hayo, nyani can ndivulekele page and I then post these videos and these photos. Man. I start getting follows. I then also just start getting tempa uchaja malini. And because I'm like, I will never become a photographer. I don't see it for myself. I don't have a rate card. This page is a mistake, or it's a joke, So like, I'm trying to, in my head, like reconcile the fact that like people are taking me seriously for something I'm not looking at in that serious lens. Also, because I was super against the idea of, because I was just like, because the word back then was like being a hustler, right? That's what you call a freelancer. I was like, hustling just doesn't sound like a lifestyle that I would ever entertain or participate in. Hustling sounds like it's hard, like not knowing where like your next check is gonna come, bro. Will never become a hustler. Like, and that's what being a photographer is, a freelance photographer rather is. You're a hustler, you are a hustler. And so what fueled I will never do this in my entire life was just me being like, absolutely no, I will never be a hustler, babe. And I take shit pictures, And so I'm trying to reconcile like people asking for my rate card, and also just just these voices in my head that are saying, you're not good enough, this is a mistake. And people just continued, and they just continued asking for my rate card. Eventually I had to do it. I had to literally like make a rate card because people were just like pressing me like, hey, still rates are, Hey man. So we continue shooting content from Zamu. I then now start to, have this idea in my head settling that like, okay, cool, maybe somewhere there, I do have it in me. Yay. Demand is 20 rates, but I'm still posting on the page. People are loving whatever, we're putting out with my friends and what I'm putting out. And I'm seeing these followers and I'm like, guys, I'm not serious, right? They're like, love your work. I'm like, guys, it's on a phone. On top of that, it's on a phone. So everything about photography and videography that I know is that you need like a professional camera to be able to, execute this thing and, just to be good at it. You need a camera, like a proper camera. So one, there is this idea that like, you can't take pictures. That is embedded in my mind from just, experiences earlier on. Two, there's also just this pressing idea in my head that like, I will never become a hustler. Like, I will never become a freelancer or do any sort of job that is going to require me to hustle. So please, no. And then I'm shooting on a phone, right? So I don't genuinely believe that like anyone in their right mind is going to want anyone who's using a phone. I'm like, no one is going to want a photographer shooting on a phone to come shoot anything of theirs. Like, what? No, please. But people and destiny and God and what was meant to be just took over. Literally, people just started asking for my rate card, and they just keep on saying, we love your work. And they're not only saying that, I'm seeing it in the numbers now, my Instagram page is now, getting followers, and people are asking to book me. And now my perception and my, idea of what I do is just like also, just like changing. I then get my first booking through Uthuli, right? Uthuli books me, and now because I'm like, hey, ndisebenzisa ifoni, and I feel like a phony person because I have, not phony person. I feel like a phony basically because I'm just like, I use a phone. I'm not trying to take this thing seriously, because of the reasons I've mentioned. So I'm like, hey babes, like sharp, but like, please just do know that like, I'm gonna come with my phone. I'm using my phone. And she's like, whatever you're using, my angel, is so Nyanike, she pays, and then we meet up at 15 on Orange. And I think 15 on Orange that's one of the reasons why I love it so much. It's because that's where I got to shoot my first client, which was Uthuli. Hey man, that first experience with a client, someone was paying you to take a video. I will say too, this is a paying client. And then they have shitting my pants. I was like, yo, guys, like, I was scared. And I do what I do with, Nando Atini, on a set at the time. And, film shooter, I was sweating. I was, doing the most. I was up and down. I was like, okay, let's try this. Let's try that. Because I'm nervous. Because I'm just like, I need to impress this person. Yannick, we finally get the shots. We finish shooting. Uthuli loves it. I edit, send the video to her. She posted, I think that day she also had booked Rwanda for photography. So Rwanda did her photos outside, and then she did photos. She did the video with me inside. And that was my first client. After that, people just started asking me a lot more for Irenzizam. So now it's 2022. Sharp. And I've got this call center job, and I'm also at school, so I have these 2 9-to-5s, right? So I can't take bookings during the day, and I also can't take during the day up a weekend, right? So and then obviously not take as many bookings. But because then I had to go back to 1, Eskoleni full time, and 2, they wanted me to then start coming into the office qua EXL at the time. I then decided, I think on May, to resign. Sharp. Yo. But how I got to resigning was the work of destiny. Because had that not happened, I feel like I was being pushed by everything that was meant for me. I think Aman Basekaya, God, my guardian angels were just all just working so hard to get me to just like quit my job so that I can be able then to flourish. Because I was just like, I can't quit my job because I also have this preconceived idea of freelancing, and I'm just like, no, that'll never be me, that'll never be my life, I cannot do that. And so it was quite hard for me to quit my job, but then I was forced to because Isikolo was like, babes, we kind of need you guys back on campus full time. So I quit my job, and I think that was in hindsight, I did not see it. I was like so anxious. And I got my job in 2022. Now I'm like nervous. I'm at home just trying to, find remote work because that's what I was doing. And now because I also have to go back to the office and also have to be at school at the same time, it's not gonna work. Sharp. Quit my job, and now I'm like anxious. I'm like, safety net le mali bendiena kule call center every month tuzawuthini ke ngoku. God, my ancestors were like joining what we're gonna do. Hey, guys, man, I think quit the job and then Daya yes, I think I did a video on Atin. Then Oazi called me. Then she was like, let's work. As in, I have been friends, I think, since 2015. So as is like, come babes, I need you to help me shoot something for, I think it was Cotton On. As he calls me, she's like, babe, so shooting Yanke. And we're shooting on the phone. Then I think she had I think it was an iPhone 12 Pro Max here, né? So we used her phone. I was, using the features that I didn't have on my one, because me it was me. We did that video in Azi for the Cotton On, and I think she then shared it with the Cotton On team. They loved it. And this is what I didn't realize and know, is that at that time the world was moving towards, or because I was so restricted in my view of the world, I didn't know that, like, people in the world were already creating content from your phone, right? So people got on loved the video, and they were like, Kwazi, kala, usuke up these details are on fan. Sharp, okay, nyanike. But hey, sine event denim next week. Kala uzokwenza whatever you were doing on your phone, no azi, at this event. Yeah. Actually, I think also was invited to that event, so he went to go shop in his influencer capacity at Cotton On, because he was also invited. And then a voucher, because they're like, everyone needs to be in Cotton On. Make a voucher, go shop for whatever look you want for the day. You're going to be creating content on your phone for us and for our socials. Man, yo, I tell you, I'm in a room full of influencers. iPhone 12 they obviously had their own videographer who Cotton On, but they were, because they understand, again, because these people understand where the world is moving to and what's happening in terms of trends on the internet. I was, just like, yo, Sana, they're asking a guy who uses a phone to shoot event, a brand. These people crazy, but I didn't ask those questions. I just got there and like, I did my thing. Nevs, guys, the phone is this big. And I'm in a room filled with like the biggest influencers in the country, and also people who are not just influencers. These are people who are on Netflix shows, who are just like re-establishing their careers. And here I am with my little phone, taking videos of them. I worked that day. Like I literally, I think I was literally like, I was hungry, worked my butt off that day, because like I don't have like the big gear, that I have now. And so I need to prove myself. Man, I worked that event. Like no one's business. I think that edit really stressed me out, because it took me 4 days, because I wanted it to be perfect. And edited that video, and then I sent it to the Cotton On team eventually, and I posted it on my page, and then people saw it again, getting more followers. People loved it. Now the business is now like growing. Now I've got like a clientele that is like now I'm expanding beyond shooting influencers. Now I'm in brand spaces. And it's amazing. It's beautiful. Again, from there, the rest is history. I can't even remember. One of some of the earliest campaigns I got from from brands. I remember working with Code at some point. I then did Nivea, 2023, where they were doing this Cash is King thing, where they were surprising people who buy their product with either 10,000 or 100,000. And of course, as then you're growing in your craft, you then obviously start to have goals and dreams. And I had a specific camera that I wanted to get. I was obsessing about it. I think 2022, the more I got bookings, of course, the more then I was able to, that's when I was able then, because sports, wow. I did sports scene in 2022. That's how I was able to finance my first MacBook. Later on that year, I got myself a camera, my very first camera that I got. And then that year, I got Nivea, where they were doing this Cashless King thing of giving like, people who buy their product like either 10,000 or 100,000. And it was beautiful, Then I was, as I was growing, I was like, oh, okay, I love this camera that I have, but it's too entry level. It's not what I want. And after that Nivea gig, baby, I went to the shop and I bought my dream camera, which is what I'm shooting on right now. And I think the core message is just one, a lot of imposter syndrome, self-doubt, never even thinking that, you know, I could ever be in the space that I'm in doing what I do, and just how when something is really meant for you, it will find you. It will find you whether you do or you don't believe that, you know, you're meant to have a certain thing. And from there, I learned to trust that, like, I really just don't get to make the rules about my life. I really just don't get to shop. I can have my own plans, my own goals, my own dreams, but my life is a product of destiny and what's meant for me. And so from there onwards, I was able just to let go quite easily of things that were not meant for me, because this was probably the biggest testimony I had, you know, as a person, to say that whatever is mine will come to me. And that's how I started my photography and videography business, from a lot of I'm crying because it's like, it's so beautiful just to be able to tell a story this way. Sure. I've never cried talking about the story, but why am I crying? Why am I crying? Why am I crying? Why am I crying? I think I'm crying because I'm just so grateful for everything that I have, everything that I've been able to accomplish, everything that has happened for me. I thank God. I thank Abamba Sekaya for Unjonga, for giving me everything that I have, and just the way they did it. I'm grateful. I'm super grateful. And yeah, man, it's one of those stories you really just, you look back and you're like, fuck. Something that I really thought that, like, why am I crying? Something that I really thought that, like, I would never, ever, ever in my life be able to do. I believed that, like, oh, Sana. I believed just the voices of things that were not even aware of what life and God had in store for me. And look where I am today. So, yeah, why am I crying? But yeah, I thought it was the most appropriate way to open the segment, because it's just one of those things, man. I have lost my train of thought now because I'm crying. But I wanted to open the segment of the channel with the story because it's my testimony. It's one of the most beautiful things that have happened to me, and I'm so grateful, always grateful. And yeah, that's how I got to become the photographer and videographer that I am today. That is where it all started. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I think I'm going to end the video here today. If you liked this video, please don't forget just to leave a like. If you like what you see on the channel, please just consider subscribing. In fact, hit that subscribe button, and just don't forget to share these videos with your family and your friends if you know someone who would love this kind of content. I'm so emotional right now, guys. That took a turn that I did not expect. I'm so sorry. This video just took a turn that I did not expect. I did not expect to cry. I've never cried telling the story. It's my first time crying telling the story, and now I've lost my train of thought. But thank you so much, guys, for watching.